This is Dr. Janet Oliver. Welcome to this presentation from Plan for Learning and Living. This information is designed to help you find ways to improve your students' development at home, either after school, during holidays, or in homeschool environments. Plan for Learning and Living stands by our motto, "A little planning will save you time and effort and is a valuable learning tool for children's development." Here are a few tips about planning for and with younger people. Organize and plan one time with help from the students. In this planning session, you and your student can brainstorm some of the home projects, events, and activities. Hone down the list to ensure a low-stress schedule that is self-perpetuating. Don't overschedule. Remember, you and your students need some downtime as well as time to be able to be spontaneous. Together, gather needed supplies and discuss organization and rules. Depending on the ages of your students, they can take a bigger or smaller responsibility for getting the needed supplies and drawing up the rules. This step is important so that activities are not an ever-growing burden on you, the parent. If using a chart like the one on the Plan for Learning and Living members area, review it weekly. After you begin implementing the plan, make sure to take a few minutes to review how things are going. Remark on the positives and negatives that have come out of the process. It is ideal to recognize things that both the student and parents feel have worked, and also the areas that need improvement. It's okay to laugh at any mishaps or mistakes. We'll talk more about some of these ideas at the end of the presentation in part 2. Your plan should have some guided or coached activities and a lot of unguided, open-ended, uncoached activities. It is especially great if an open-ended activities can be an exploration of previously taught skills. The process, not the product, is the important part of unguided activities. Direct interaction and instruction is involved in guided development. Guided activities are ones that are directly taught or coached by a parent or other adult. A guided activity is best broken down into discrete skills. Some children need extra encouragement and preparation for guided activities. Coaching is not always for children to take in. I like to use the hamburger style of critique. The bun of the hamburger is when the coach notices what is going right. The meat is in telling students what could be improved and what might happen. Lastly, the bun is more encouragement to keep sustaining a good effort and the coach's assurance that the student will master the activity. Remember, when a parent coaches a student, modeling is an important part of the teaching. Often unguided play and activities work best with a prepared environment. The mess involved with unguided play is one of its downsides. A prepared environment mostly solves this messy problem. At the end of the presentation on part 2, we'll outline some specific suggestions for preparing environments. Some prepared environments are just materials for open-ended activities. This could include a craft shelf or even a Lego bin. Unguided play can be outdoors or indoors. It is ideal to have a combination of indoor and outdoor activities as often as possible. Students can use unguided play to practice areas of their strengths, their favorite activities and interests, or it can be used to explore areas of weakness. This type of practice ensures that no one is overseeing and awkwardly critiquing any outcomes. Children need to know the boundaries of their play. Rules such as stay in the yard, only use this paper for markers, keep the Legos in this room. All these boundaries, when applied, they allow freedom in other areas. Try to figure out the rules before letting the freedom reign. Try to keep the rules simple and few. Older students need some privacy in unguided activities. However, I believe that privacy does not trump safety. Parents have a right to invade a child's privacy for overriding safety concerns. Now let's take a quick tour of the sensory motor development. This information is good to keep in mind when encouraging the development of students. If sensory motor development were imagined as a tree, we would find the roots are the sensory motor reflex foundations growing in the soil of the environment. Out of the basis of the sensory motor foundations comes the trunk of emotional, cognitive, and creative growth. From these elements, moral, academic, and social abilities grow to crown the person's development. Here's my model of the sensory processing that starts in the lower brain and matures in the upper brain, the cortex brain. Let's look at each one of these just briefly. The gravity sense is how we negotiate gravity when in movement. It regulates our muscle tone, our muscle coordination, and our ability to accelerate and slow down. If this sense is hyperactive, a person can become very stubborn, overbearing, or stiff-necked. A person who is hyperactive in the gravity sense can appear flighty, ungrounded, and a bit dizzy. The body space sense gives us a map, first of our outer body and later of the inside of the body. It also guides how we negotiate between our body through the environment, such as when having to walk around toys on the ground. When this sense is not working well, the person may not be able to feel safe in a new or strange environment. The student may not feel secure in his or her own body. They may not be able to identify what's happening inside their body, like understanding hunger or pain. The most common issue with touch is hyperactivity. This sensitivity can be seen as an aversion to touching or eating certain textures. Clothing, socks, or shoes can be unexpectedly uncomfortable. In some cases, this sensitivity can be so high that the person's brain blocks the feeling. This makes the person appear not even to feel pain. Tone. Tone comes out of these first three senses we have discussed. Low-toned people tend to slump, have poor writing, shallow breathing, and other areas where muscles must support them. Often these people can't sustain movements easily, such as taking a hike. Vision. Vision is the ability to process light that comes in through the pupil. Light sensitivity is only part of our concern. Even more importantly is the ability of the eyes to team, track, and look far to near and back. These activities and these abilities take muscles working with cranial nerves. Vision is developed to move the gravity with the gravity sense so that one can use their eyes when moving and not get motion sickness. If these muscles are not developed correctly, a person might dislike reading, writing, or other sustained close work. Looking quickly from far to near and back can take too long. The eyes may skip at the midline or lose the place on the page when they're reading. Hearing uses the same nerve as the gravity sense. And again, the gravity sense can disrupt this ability, both in taking in sound and processing. Issues with this sense will appear as not listening or as being confused about what's being said. Remembering the sounds in reading, especially vowel sounds, can point to a problem with audition. Smell and taste are closely related. Smell is the alarm bell of our systems. Smell becomes a background sense for most people as they mature. If the other senses are not working well, Smell comes forward to protect the system. So a hyperactive sense of smell can be pointing to issues with the maturation of the other senses. All people need and use motivation to increase their attention. Motivation and attention lag if the senses and muscles are not supporting strength and sustaining activities. Motivation and attention can shift to lower priorities of sense processing, blocking higher goals and the ability to give others their attention. This is the end of part 1. Thank you for listening, and I hope you look forward to seeing part 2, where we get into more practical suggestions for development in the home.